Nasdaq holding on to a 100-point gain. Now this, China has been purging senior military leaders, and most recently, their top general has been pushed out. That general is accused of leaking sensitive information to the United States. Gordon Chang with me now. Is Xi still in control of the military in China?
We don't know the answer to that, Stuart. Yes, Xi Jinping did purge General Zhang Yaoshao, the #1 uniformed officer. But we also pretty sure from what little evidence exists that Xi Jinping was not controlling the military last year when a number of his loyalists were purged. You know, media said, oh, Xi Jinping purged his friends. No, he didn't. So really what we have is a chaotic situation. The rumors are right now fast and furious. People are saying that Zhang is no longer in custody. I still think he is. But the situation is fluid. And Zhang, who, by the way, was very popular in the military, his removal is not going to be taken lying down by other officers.
Is Xi Jinping firmly in control of the Chinese government, or is it looking a little shaky right now?
I think he's shaky, and there are a number of reasons for that, but one of them is that the Chinese economy is doing very poorly. It is not growing at the 5.0% pace that they reported for last year. Maybe it's 2.5%, 3%, maybe it's 0, maybe it's -1. Nobody knows, not even the Chinese themselves. But it's a very gloomy mood in China. Xi Jinping is being blamed for it. And at some point, he will be held accountable. And that's part of the reasons why he has had so many problems last year. Yes, he was able to reconsolidate his position by October or November, but this is a situation which changes by the week.
The Wall Street Journal writes that the United States trade partners have been, quote, stung by Trump and are now cozying up to China. I doubt you approve of that, Gordon. Is it accurate, though?
I think it's accurate because, people can deal with almost anything if it's predictable. What they can't deal with is a changing situation. And Trump has made deals and unmade them. And that, I think, has convinced a number of leaders, including those in Canada and in Europe, that they need to come to terms with China. I'm not terribly worried about this in the long term because the Chinese economy is failing, and the American economy, by the way, Stuart, it's booming.
Yeah.
So eventually people will have to come to Trump. But in the interim, things are moving not in the direction that the United States needs them to be.
We always thought that China was racing ahead in so many respects. The Belt and Road campaign was taking support from the third world countries, that they would export all kinds of manufactured goods and overtake us. But they're not looking so hot these days, are they?
No. I mean, from a geopolitical viewpoint, China has suffered setback after setback since last May when Trump went to the 3 Gulf states. And clearly Trump showed China is not a superpower when he took out Maduro, who was a Chinese proxy, and the Chinese couldn't do anything but whine. With the Chinese economy the way that it is, and that really has been the motor of the country's rise, with the motor of the country's rise sputtering, this is a very different situation, especially because Xi Jinping's policies have been accelerating the downward trend. And that means people in China are blaming him for this.
But in that situation, he's not likely to try to invade Taiwan, is he?
I never thought that he would for a lot of internal reasons, but he is likely to start a war someplace else. And the reason is, I think that he believes high tensions are in his interest because that prevents other leaders from challenging him. If something goes wrong in the Philippines, as it could very well in the South China Sea or someplace else, then I don't think Xi Jinping can de-escalate. He can't act constructively, and war can spread really fast, not only among the victims, because we have military treaties with many of the victims, but also China's going to bring in Russia and North Korea. So this could be very well a region-wide conflict if something happens, which basically says to President Trump, you need to start deterring the Chinese because this is a volatile situation, it's an unpredictable situation, and it's an extremely dangerous one, more dangerous than we've seen in a long time.
Gordon Chang, thank you very much for being with us this morning. I know we'll see you again real soon.